The vast emptiness of space stretched before the Earth's outermost defense station, a silent sentinel watching the infinite darkness. Captain J. Park leaned forward, his weathered hands gripping the edge of the holographic display. Something was coming. The alien transmission first appeared as a faint electrical pulse, then grew stronger. Strange symbols flickered across the screen, gradually resolving into a language that the station's advanced translation algorithms could process. First contact was happening, but not in the way humanity had ever imagined. The message was cold, calculated, and utterly devoid of respect. Emperor Krell of the Galactic Consolidation demanded Earth's immediate surrender. His words dripped with centuries of imperial arrogance, describing humanity as a primitive species that would be integrated into their vast interstellar empire. Jay remembered his training. Every military personnel was prepared for this moment, a potential first contact scenario that could mean humanity's destruction or survival. His fingers moved across the console not with panic but with a calculated precision that defined human military strategy. In the research facility deep within Earth's orbital complex, Dr. Yuna Choi watched the transmission with a calm intensity. Her team had spent decades preparing defensive technologies that remained hidden from the rest of the galaxy. Quantum communication systems hummed softly, ready to relay any necessary response. The alien transmission continued, listing demands with mathematical precision. Surrender all technological resources. Provide complete planetary access. Submit to imperial governance. Each word was a calculated threat, a reminder of the alien empire's technological superiority. But they didn't know humanity. J. Park's response was simple, direct, and would become legendary. He recorded a message that would be broadcast across multiple frequency bands, ensuring the alien fleet would receive it clearly. To the Galactic Consolidation leadership, the message began, "Your demands are rejected. Any attempt to enter our solar system will result in your complete destruction. We do not negotiate. We do not surrender." The transmission was short, brutally honest, a clear statement of humanity's collective will. In the alien command ship, Emperor Krell and his senior commanders gathered around their own communication systems. They expected the typical response of a younger species: fear, negotiation, perhaps desperate pleas for mercy. Instead, they received a message that would change galactic history forever. Laughter erupted across the alien bridge. Junior officers mocked the human response, seeing it as a pathetic attempt to appear strong. Emperor Krell's own translator interpreted the message, and he found himself chuckling at what he perceived as human ignorance. "They truly believe they can resist?" one of his advisors said, their multi-jointed fingers manipulating holographic star charts. "Our fleet has conquered civilizations 1,000 times more advanced." But something about the human transmission felt different. There was no tremor of fear in the message, no hint of desperation, just a cold, calculated statement of intent. Back. On the Earth Defense Station, J. Park turned to his second-in-command. "Activate preliminary defense protocols," he said quietly. "They're coming." Dr. Yuna Choi was already in motion. Quantum defense platforms that had been dormant for decades began to hum with energy. Massive weapon systems hidden within asteroid belts and planetary orbits started their activation sequences. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for generations. While other species saw them as young, primitive, they had been building, planning, waiting. The alien fleet continued its approach, massive ships blocking out starlight. Emperor Krell believed victory was inevitable. Humanity was about to learn its place in the galactic hierarchy. But they were about to learn something else entirely. In that moment, as the first alien ships crossed the solar system's outer markers, humanity stood united, not in fear, not in desperation, but in an absolute, unshakable determination to survive. First contact was about to become first conflict, and humanity was ready. The research facility buried deep beneath the Andes Mountains looked like nothing more than a simple geological research station. But beneath its ordinary exterior, Humanity's most advanced minds were preparing for a war that would define the species' future. Dr. Yuna Choi walked through a corridor lined with holographic displays, each screen showing complex mathematical equations and weapon system designs. Her team had been working in complete secrecy for decades, developing technologies that would make conventional warfare look like children's games. Quantum communication systems that could predict enemy movements before they happened. Adaptive weapon platforms that could reconfigure themselves mid-battle. Energy shields that could absorb and redirect entire planetary bombardments. These were not just theoretical concepts, they were nearly complete realities. Admiral Hyun Kim reviewed the strategic protocols in a separate command center. Maps of potential invasion routes covered every available surface. Each scenario had been analyzed, predicted, and counterplanned with mathematical precision. Humanity would not just defend, they would demonstrate absolute superiority. "We've spent generations preparing," Hyun muttered to himself, tracing potential alien approach vectors with a glowing digital marker. The alien fleet's initial transmission had confirmed what many had suspected. First contact would not be peaceful. In orbital stations surrounding Earth, massive defense platforms began their silent activation. These were not simple weapons, but complex systems that could adapt, learn, and counter any potential threat in milliseconds. Artificial intelligence cores designed specifically for defensive strategies hummed with potential energy. Funding for these projects had come from every nation. For the first time in human history, global resources were completely unified. No more wars between countries. No more internal conflicts. Humanity had a single, collective goal: survival. Military training had changed dramatically. Soldiers were no longer just physical fighters, but strategic thinkers. Every personnel underwent rigorous psychological and tactical training. They would be facing an enemy with potentially centuries more technological experience. Dr. Choi's team had developed something revolutionary: a neural interface that could link human consciousness with defensive AI systems. Pilots could now think faster than traditional computer responses. A human brain connected to these advanced systems could process combat scenarios in ways no alien technology could predict. Underground facilities around the world began moving critical resources. Entire cities could be relocated within hours, if necessary. Manufacturing capabilities were distributed, making it impossible for an enemy to disable human production capacity with a single attack. Space exploration had always been humanity's backup plan. Colonies on Mars, research stations in the asteroid belt, and deep space outposts were not just scientific endeavors. They were strategic positioning points. Each location could become a potential defensive position. Agricultural systems were redesigned to be completely self-sustainable. Massive underground farms could feed millions even if surface infrastructure was destroyed. Water purification technologies could extract moisture from the most inhospitable environments. Admiral Kim looked at the latest simulations. They showed hundreds of potential invasion scenarios. In 99.7% of these scenarios, the human defensive systems would not just survive, they would completely obliterate the attacking force. "We are not just preparing for defense," Hyun told his closest advisors. "We are preparing to send a message to the entire galaxy." The message was simple. Humanity would not be a victim. Humanity would not be conquered. Communication networks were redesigned to be completely decentralized. No single point of failure could disable human communication. Even if entire continents were destroyed, the species could still coordinate a unified response. Dr. Choi's final breakthrough came in the form of adaptive nanotechnology, weapon systems that could repair themselves, learn from previous encounters, and modify their own capabilities in real time. These were not just weapons, they were living, thinking defensive mechanisms. As the alien fleet continued its approach, humanity's preparations reached their final stages. Every system was checked, double-checked, and verified. Years of secret development were about to be tested. The galaxy was about to learn something important about the human species. We do not just survive, we adapt, we overcome, and we never, ever surrender. The first alien ships entered the solar system like a swarm of metallic locusts, blocking out starlight with their massive forms. Emperor Krell stood on the command bridge, confident in his fleet's technological superiority. Thousands of ships stretched across the darkness, their weapon systems glowing with destructive potential. Captain J. Park watched the approach on the holographic display. His fingers moved silently across the control panel, activating defense protocols that had been decades in preparation. Around him, the Earth Defense Station remained calm. No panic, no fear, just cold calculation. The alien communication systems buzzed with overconfidence. "Surrender is your only option," the transmission repeated. Each word dripped with centuries of imperial arrogance. They believed humanity would crumble at the first sign of serious threat. They were wrong. The first wave of alien ships crossed the invisible defensive marker. Quantum tracking systems immediately locked onto every single vessel. Before the aliens could even prepare their first attack sequence, Earth's defense platforms came to life. Invisible energy waves swept across the alien formation. These were not simple weapons, but adaptive defense systems that could predict and counter enemy movements faster than biological minds could comprehend. Entire squadrons of alien ships began to disintegrate before their crews could even understand what was happening. Dr. Yuna Choi monitored the initial engagement from her underground research facility. Her team had designed these defense systems to be more than just weapons. They were living, thinking defensive mechanisms. Each system learned from the previous milliseconds encounter, adapting instantly. "Targeting systems are operating at 99.8% efficiency," she reported calmly to Admiral Hyun Kim. The military commanders watched as the alien invasion began to collapse. Emperor Krell couldn't believe what was happening. His most advanced battle, groups were being systematically destroyed without even launching a single offensive strike. Quantum weapons tore through alien ship hulls like they were made of paper. Defensive shields that had conquered hundreds of civilizations became useless against human technology. The solar system itself seemed to become a weapon. Asteroids redirected themselves, becoming precision strike platforms. Orbital defense stations transformed from passive observers to active combat systems. Every single human-controlled object became a potential weapon. Communication between alien ships became chaos. Panic began to spread through their military networks. They had never encountered a species that could defend itself with such brutal efficiency. J. Park's voice remained steady as he coordinated the defensive effort. "Maintain defensive perimeter," he instructed his teams. "Do not allow a single enemy vessel to approach Earth's orbital zone." Within minutes, what had been a massive invasion fleet became nothing more than expanding debris fields. Thousands of alien ships reduced to floating wreckage. The quantum weapons didn't just destroy, they completely dismantled enemy technology, ensuring nothing could be recovered or studied. Advanced AI systems processed the battle in real time. Each alien attack vector was not just blocked, but used to improve future defensive capabilities. Humanity's technology was learning, adapting, growing stronger with each passing moment. Emperor Krell's command ship became the last remaining vessel. Surrounded by the remains of his once mighty fleet, he realized the terrible mistake he had made. Humanity was not a primitive species to be conquered. They were a force of nature. "Retreat is impossible," one of his advisors reported, terror in their voice. The human defensive systems had completely surrounded their position, leaving no escape route. The final moments of the alien invasion would become a legend. Not a story of human aggression, but a clear message to the galaxy. Humanity would defend itself with absolute, uncompromising efficiency. As the last alien ship was systematically dismantled, Captain J. Park made a simple communication to Earth's leadership. "Invasion neutralized," he reported. "Zero human casualties. Complete defensive victory." The solar system remained quiet, silent, waiting. But the message had been sent, loud and clear. Do not threaten humanity. We are always watching. We are always ready. The destruction of the alien invasion fleet was just the beginning. Humanity didn't plan to simply defend. They were going to send a message that would echo through the galaxy. Admiral Hyun Kim studied the star charts, his fingers tracing potential routes into enemy territory. The counterattack would be more than a military operation. It would be a psychological statement that would reshape galactic understanding of human capability. Dr. Yuna Choi's team had been preparing for this moment. Advanced reconnaissance drones, developed in complete secrecy, had already mapped the critical infrastructure of the alien empire. Every power grid, every communication network, every strategic resource center was now a potential target. The first wave of human ships moved with a precision that defied traditional warfare strategies. They weren't large, they weren't numerous, but each vessel carried technologies that would make entire planetary systems tremble. Captain J. Park led the operation, from a command ship that looked almost insignificant compared to the massive alien vessels they had destroyed. But appearances were deceiving. This ship could communicate with and control an entire fleet of autonomous combat systems. The initial strikes were surgical. Quantum weapons targeted specific communication nodes, creating complete communication, blackouts across entire star systems. The alien empire wouldn't just be defeated, they would be systematically dismantled. Planetary defense systems began to fail one by one. Not through massive explosions, but through calculated technological disruption. Power grids collapsed. Defense networks went dark. Communication systems became nothing more than silent circuits. Each conquered world received a broadcast. Simple, direct, terrifying. This is the consequence of threatening humanity. The message was transmitted in multiple alien languages, ensuring every population center understood the same thing. This was not just a military campaign. This was a demonstration of absolute technological superiority. Entire planetary economies began to collapse. Not through traditional destruction, but through precise technological intervention. Financial systems became unpredictable. Transportation networks failed. Critical infrastructure simply stopped functioning. Emperor Krell watched from his remaining command center as his grand imperial system began to crumble. Worlds that had been under imperial control for centuries suddenly found themselves completely isolated. No communication, no support, no hope. The human counterattack wasn't about total destruction. It was about sending a message. Every system they touched was carefully controlled to demonstrate human capability without complete annihilation. They wanted survivors. They wanted witnesses. Advanced AI systems managed the entire operation with a level of precision that seemed almost supernatural. No unnecessary destruction, no civilian casualties. Just a systematic dismantling of imperial power structures. Communication intercepts revealed growing panic among alien leadership. Reports spread of entire planetary systems going dark. Rumors began to circulate about a species that could destroy technological infrastructure with a mere thought. Dr. Choi's most impressive weapon wasn't a physical weapon at all. It was information. Advanced quantum communication systems began broadcasting the full story of the initial invasion. Every alien civilization would know exactly why this was happening. Admiral Kim's strategy was clear. This wasn't just a counterattack. This was a galactic education. Humanity would not be a victim. Humanity would not be conquered. As the operation continued, something remarkable happened. Other alien civilizations began to watch. Not with anger, but with a growing understanding. The human counterattack wasn't about revenge. It was about establishing a new galactic order. Weeks passed. The alien empire's infrastructure continued to collapse, not through violence but through technological superiority that seemed almost magical. Captain J. Park reviewed the final reports. 0 human casualties, complete strategic victory, a message sent to the entire galaxy. Do not threaten humanity. We now are always watching. We are always ready, and we will always defend ourselves. The counterattack was complete. The galaxy would never be the same. The aftermath of humanity's decisive action spread across the galaxy like a silent wave of understanding. No civilization would look at humans the same way again. United Earth Council chambers remained quiet. as Captain J. Park delivered his final report. Holographic displays showed the complete transformation of galactic power dynamics. What had begun as a simple defense had become a complete restructuring of interstellar relationships. "We are not conquerors," Jay explained, his voice calm and measured. "We are defenders. Any threat will be met with absolute precision." Dr. Unichoi's research teams had been monitoring communication networks across multiple star systems. The psychological impact of humanity's response was more powerful than any weapon. Alien civilizations were reassessing their understanding of human potential. Diplomatic channels that once demanded human submission now requested careful dialogue. The alien empires that had viewed humanity as a potential conquest now saw them as a potential strategic partner or a dangerous enemy to be avoided. Advanced observation satellites tracked the changing galactic dynamics. Entire alien political systems were restructuring their approach to emerging civilizations. The human message was clear: respect or face complete technological dismantling. Admiral Hyun Kim reviewed the long-term strategic projections. Humanity's technological leap would require continuous development. The defense systems that had protected Earth would need constant innovation. The galaxy had learned humanity's capabilities, but humanity would never stop improving. Quantum communication. Networks began sharing a simple narrative. Humanity was not seeking galactic domination. They were establishing a new principle of interstellar interaction. Respect, defense, mutual understanding. The remnants of the defeated alien empire served as a permanent warning. Entire planetary systems remained as living monuments to what happens when a civilization underestimates humanity's potential. Not destroyed, but fundamentally transformed. Research facilities around Earth began receiving unprecedented communication requests. Scientific organizations from multiple alien civilizations wanted to understand the technologies that had so decisively changed galactic dynamics. But humanity was careful. Each technological exchange would be controlled. Each interaction would be precisely managed. The lessons of the invasion would not be forgotten. Refugee populations from the defeated alien empire began seeking new homes. Some found sanctuary in human-controlled territories, where they discovered a civilization unlike any they had experienced before. Not cruel, not vengeful, simply precise. Educational systems across human colonies began developing new curricula. Understanding galactic dynamics became more than a scientific study. It became a critical survival skill. Every human would understand the principles of technological defense. The United Earth Council made one thing abundantly clear. Humanity would continue to develop, continue to prepare, continue to remain vigilant. We did not seek this conflict. The Council's official statement read, "But we will always be prepared to defend ourselves and our principles." Alien diplomatic missions began arriving in carefully controlled environments. Each representative understood the new rules. Respect humanity's boundaries. Understand humanity's capabilities. Do not mistake kindness for weakness. Dr. Choi's research teams continued developing defensive technologies. Each breakthrough was not just a scientific achievement, but a statement of human potential. The technologies that had protected Earth would continue to evolve. Captain J. Park, now viewed as a strategic legend, continued training new defense personnel. The principles were simple. Be prepared, be precise, be unyielding. The galaxy had changed, not through conquest, not through destruction, but through a clear, uncompromising demonstration of human capability. Generations would study this moment. The time when humanity transformed from a potential victim to a galactic force that could not be ignored. The final message remained unchanged. We do not seek war. We do not want conflict. But we will always, always defend ourselves. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not as a newcomer, not as a potential conquest, but as a civilization to be respected.